Welcome to the Raise Up Podcast, the only podcast focused on how you can get a raise at work. Every week, we're dishing tips and tricks straight from the industry experts, CEOs, and HR directors, so you can finally get paid what you're worth. So buckle up, Buttercup. Let's break it down. She's a little sassy, but a lot of fun. Here's your host, Amanda Lefevre.
What is up, everybody? Amanda Lefevre here from the Raise Up Podcast, and I'm here to help you make more money at your job. We're going to do something special today. Usually we're talking with industry experts, high-flying CEOs, or human resource directors about how to get a raise at work. But there's one tiny issue with that. They are awesome, and you should definitely listen to the interviews and subscribe to the podcast and all of those things. But if you're like me, you listen to a podcast or you see a video on YouTube and you hear something magical and you're like, oh, that is such a good idea. I should do that. But you don't write it down and life happens and then you never think about it again. So if you have 7 minutes or less, I pulled out the top 3 things people have been talking about the most from one of our podcasts, and I'm going to give them to you so you can take action. So one of my very first guests on the show was my husband, baby daddy, Travis Lefevre, and I know I'm biased. I like him a lot, but he's a really smart guy, and all of the reviews said that he had some great advice. So are you ready? Are you ready? Are you standing on the edge of your seat? Woo! I think that's how that song goes. So the first thing he said that really struck me was if you want to get a raise, you have to plan for asking for a raise. Have you ever heard that old saying, and I love this one, about how a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step? Some people think that means a physical step, but I personally have never done anything that I didn't decide to do first. It's a mental step. It's a mental step. You have to decide you're going to get a raise and then plan how you're going to get there. And by doing that, your brain will begin working on how to make it happen. When you make a decision, it creates momentum for you to get started. So decide and write it down. And trust me here, there is great power in the written word. My experience and behavioral science shows that our commitment to a plan, and therefore the likelihood we'll continue even working on that plan, it greatly increases when we write it down. I always hear Travis tell his classes that the magic happens when pencil scratches paper. All right, so time for number 2. So his second piece of advice was you have to know what's fair to you and what's fair to your employer. That means you have to do some research. And don't let the word fool you. We're not going back to school or writing research papers. And I know that all of us have been 25 links deep into YouTube before, where you start out watching a TED Talk or something educational, and pretty soon you find yourself watching some video about Justin Bieber's mom or like a clown trimming a bonsai tree or whatever it is. Maybe it's just me. But anyway, research is very similar. So get curious about what people in your industry make, what people in your city make. Find good sources of information. You can screenshot or print the different statistics and then sit back and compare your current compensation plan with that information. It's not rocket science, so don't overthink it. So the third and final thing that he said that I thought was insightful was that getting a raise is a process. It's not an event. I've always been told a process is the little things you do in a certain order to get a big thing done. And that's right. No matter what you're trying to accomplish, you have to do a lot of little things to do a big thing. So you need a process. Thinking about a raise as a process, not an event, it does 2 things for you. It takes the fear out of it because it changes the potential outcomes from yes or no to how long will it take, right? So do you see the difference? Like it even feels different. There's no yes or no. It's just how long is this going to take? If you look at getting a raise as an event, once you make the ask and get it or get turned down, then it's over. You'll either be happy or extremely disappointed. And when something is over, it makes you stop working on it. If you look at getting a raise as a process, then when you ask for a raise and get it, you're happy. And you keep on angling for the next raise. And if you don't get it, you're still in the game, right? Because it's a process. One no doesn't mean it's over. It's just another step in the process. You can't fail unless you give up. There's a lot of power in that way of thinking. Okay, that's it for today's Raise Up Breakdown lesson. For all of our thousands of listeners now and in the future, thank you so much. I love you guys. Share this with your friends because they deserve a raise too. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Hey, thanks for listening to the Raise Up Podcast. If you want to raise, head to www.raiseuppodcast.com and download our step-by-step roadmap where we've taken all the expert advice we've collected and put it into a simple PDF ebook called, you guessed it, How to Ask for a Raise. Before you join us again, make sure to subscribe, share it with your friends. You can click the share button, take a screenshot, and share it on your social stories. And tag @Amanda Lefevre. See you again soon.